When we first started Mafia 3, we knew that we wanted the city to be a main character. That's kind of the hallmark of the Mafia series in my mind, that, you know, again, the city is treated like a main character. So we started researching different possible cities that could be an inspiration for us, you know, kind of serve as the foundation.
We made a decision to, you know, create New Bordeaux as inspired by New Orleans rather than a literal recreation, because honestly, it gives us the flexibility to build a city that's structured for a game. New Orleans has its own layout, its own geography, but approaching New Bordeaux at the beginning, it was very clear that we wanted to be inspired by New Orleans, an amazing city, but not a city that everybody in the world is familiar with. And so we wanted to make the city accessible for people from all around the world that, you know, didn't have a frame of reference for it.
Driving is obviously a central pillar for the game. New Orleans is a beautiful city, but some of the streets are very narrow. There's a lot of 90-degree turns. There's not a lot of elevation. It's, you know, fairly flat. So we knew that we were going to have to take some liberties with the city design just to support driving, make driving more fun. And, you know, probably more importantly, we also knew that with the story we wanted to tell, we didn't want to be beholden to kind of, you know, real world history of a real city.
It's no accident that we've placed the iconic French wards in the middle of New Bordeaux. It's a place where people constantly have to crisscross backwards across the city, and so it's a constant reinforcement of the place you're in. Whereas the city does have, you know, 9 districts plus the bayou. We wanted to continually reinforce that sense of the, you know, the turn of the century architecture, and sort of the whole history of the city from the 150 years it's been around.
There's a huge history with the mob in New Orleans. In fact, it was one of the first cities where the Mafia took hold. So for us, that made it also a perfect choice. Mafia 2 was set in Empire Bay, which was an amalgamation of several different cities. So we wanted to kind of continue that trend too, of creating a fictional city within the real world. New Bordeaux is a fairly large city in terms of as far as games go, but I think what's more important is the diversity of the city. It is 9 districts plus the bayou. Each one of the districts is incredibly unique. We've got, you know, the French Ward at the heart of the city. Feels very different from Frisco Fields to the far north, which is kind of like the rich enclave of the city. We've got Delray Hollow, which is where Lincoln Clay grew up. So again, every time you go kind of into a different district, it should feel a little bit different, feel distinct.
New Bordeaux is a really interesting place to design. It is a character in its own right. I think once we really understood who Lincoln was, there really wasn't any other place we could set it. It was the perfect blend of old, the socio kind of political divide there. It's a very, very sort of broad economic spectrum. So it was a perfect place to kind of place a protagonist like Lincoln who really doesn't sort of fit in with the status quo.
It's, you know, kind of come together, and it's the story we wanted to tell and the city we wanted to create and the gameplay we wanted to create. So I think this might be the first time in my career that I actually feel that way, where you know, kind of the vision was fully realized and we were able to kind of, you know, deliver that all, and I'm super excited for people to play it.
Heavy.